Question, have y'all ever been on such a struggle bus that you literally cannot see where it's going to let you off? If you don't know what I'm referring to, if you're new here or you just aren't up to speed on the life of Branyan, I have not been able to catch fish in the past in probably a week. It's had to have been a week. The other day I went fishing, I caught one Spanish. If y'all saw that video, that was the only fish I caught the whole time I was down in Gulf Shores. Then I upload that video. It doesn't upload for 2 days because of how bad the Wi-Fi is at our little condo area. So then I finally get back home, I get it uploaded the rest of the way, post it, and for some reason I said, you know what, let me go check it just to make sure that the upload didn't mess anything up. It did. When it gets to the GoPro part, for some reason the video is like cropped in and it looks like a square instead of a full screen, and the video quality literally looks like a cotton ball. I got to get it figured out. It's not going good. Now, what I wanted to talk to you guys about is snapper fishing, rigs, how to, all that good stuff. Before we get into that, I forgot to tell y'all that all of our snapper reefs, or not just snapper reefs, just reefs in general, got deleted off of our fish finder. Let me turn this on. It's probably going to be pretty loud in here and dark apparently. Hey buddy, adjust that right there. There you go. But anyway, let's get into snapper rigs and methods with these rods right here. This audio is probably fixing to be really bad because it's raining currently. And when it rains, the inside of this building echoes everything tremendously. All right, first off, I gotta find my crap. Oh, you do it. This is gonna be sort of awkward. I don't have my tripod out here. I'm gonna have to squat because it's just a little too short. Let's turn that ringer off and get to it. First and foremost, red snapper season. It is in, what is today? Today is the 8th. Snapper season starts the 22nd. So that means this week is going to be full of me getting ready for the snapper season. And this rod is messed up so it doesn't dump line, so I gotta go get another one. All of our rods don't have line on them right now because I've taken the old stuff off from last year and started putting new stuff on, and I guess there's a reason that still has line on it because it is very much messed up. There's a few key things that you always have to remember for red snapper fishing. What we use, and by we I mean my family, we use pin reels. It doesn't have to be Penn name brand. It could be Shimano, it could be Pro Angler, it could be Penn like this one is. We just use the term pin reel for like to cover all of them. Pin reel and a pretty big deep sea rod. 7'1", medium heavy rod. Not the heaviest rod we have, not the lightest rod we have, but it gets the job done. The one that I just had, it's actually a little bit beefier combo. I believe it's a 6.5 foot heavy. You don't necessarily need the heaviest of heavy for just red snapper, but we use this for everything from red snapper, big redfish, king mackerel. This guy right here handles a lot. So your main line, it doesn't really matter what color it is, but this is just green line that we use for backing. Basically what backing is sort of a second layer below your top layer to keep the top layer from slipping. And it also lets you know if you get to the backing, you need to crank down on that drag and get that fish in because that means you are close to the end of your line. For our deep sea reels, we have 40-pound test main line, 55, and then we've got 80. The smaller two are what we usually use for the smaller size reef fish like red snapper. You really don't need 80-pound main line unless you're going for maybe amberjack or giant sharks. Big Goliath grouper, which if you're going for Goliaths or giant sharks, you probably need more than 80-pound. Our main line is typically going to be clear, but I guess green backing actually works better for the video standpoint because it's easier to see. For one of the most basic deep sea rigs, I keep on saying that we're talking about rigs to catch snapper, but this rig can be used for grouper, amberjack, porgy, other types of snapper, pretty much anything that lives on a reef. This is the only weight that I could find You don't necessarily need, that is upside down. You don't necessarily need a 6-ounce weight, but we always keep a pretty big range of different size weights. Depending on the conditions, you might need a bigger weight, you might need a smaller weight. Like I said, this is just the one that I found, and usually we'll use these if we're in pretty deep water with some pretty strong current. So you want to put your weight on your main line. So your weight's just gonna be sort of dangling like that. Then you're gonna take your swivel. It's always interesting getting this camera to focus on small things. Focus. There we go. Your swivel. In case you don't know, swivels have a pound test just like line does. Don't be afraid to go a little bit more beefy than what you may think. So make sure you check the pound test of your swivel before you just buy some that may look good, but you know, they may just be like 10-pound test swivel. I think this is either a 30 or a 40-pound test swivel. Not really sure on that, but that'll be a-okay. Just your regular old fisherman's knot, aka improved clinch knot, or you can tie the Palomar knot. I used to not be a big fan of the Palomar knot because I thought that it was too time consuming. Now I actually do use the Palomar knot a good bit. That's because of my Uncle Brad. He actually taught me how to properly tie it. But anyway, that would be the improved clinch knot, fisherman's knot, whatever you want to call it. Oh, and by the way, this is a snap swivel, and a snap swivel basically just means it's got that little thing right there that opens and closes and allows you to snap things on. You don't have to have that. You can just have a regular barrel swivel and that'll be completely fine. You take your swivel and then you get fluorocarbon. A lot of people catch red snapper on mono, but I promise you, if you use fluorocarbon, you will catch those more elusive, spooky fish. And I can attest to this, seen it 1,000 times. You throw a bait at a fish that is a little bit spooky on mono or just braid, they're not gonna eat it. You slap some fluorocarbon on your line, boom. And this goes for saltwater and freshwater. I've seen it 1,000 times in both. You gotta use fluoro. It's stronger, it's more abrasion resistant. Sure, it costs a little bit more, might hurt the pocketbook just a smidge more, but I promise you it'll be worth it in the end. And speaking of hurting the pocketbook, since this is actual fluorocarbon, I'm gonna grab some mono to tie this leader so I don't waste any fluoro. I can honestly not tell if this is mono or fluoro. It is crusty as all get out. This stuff has probably been sitting on our shop floor for years. So let me break this down for you too. This is all in general terms. Beginning of snapper season, the fish aren't picky, or not as picky. You catch a lot more fish just in general, and then towards the end, they sort of get slower, they get a little more picky. There's just not as many out there willing to hit your bait right off the bat, you know what I mean? At the beginning of the season, you can get away with like a foot of leader, but towards the end, if you're wanting to catch those big quality size fish, you're gonna want to go longer. The longer, the better. And at the beginning of the season, you can also use bigger pound test fluorocarbon. And really and truly, that just prevents bigger fish cutting through the leader with their teeth, or fish getting you wrapped up in a wreck and you not being able to get them out because the rocks cut you off, and that's that. So at the beginning of the season, you could get away with 80, 70, 60 pound test fluorocarbon. Then, you know, as the season goes on, we've actually had to go all the way down to like, I think I used 25 one time, and they were still being picky. Leader size depends on how picky the fish are, how clear the water is, that's a big one, and all that jazz. You take the swivel, and here you go again with either the fisherman's knot or the Palomar knot. I'm just tying a fisherman's knot because that's what I'm faster at, but you do whatever your little heart desires. And there's definitely some motor oil on that line. And now on to possibly the most important part of your fishing experience with red snapper, the circle hook. As every fisherman knows, you have to have a good quality hook to get the fish in. You want to make sure that you don't get those crappy, cheap hooks that maybe they're sharp, maybe they're not. Maybe they'll break in the middle, maybe they won't. You need to get a hook brand that is trustworthy, that's not gonna break or snap off or lose its edge in a fishing day. We usually go for Gamakatsu, Owner, Mustad, every now and then. Mustads are hit or miss though. They won't ever break, they won't ever snap, but sometimes mustads can have a little bit of a faulty point. Doesn't have to be that small of a circle hook. That's actually sort of little, especially if you're using a pretty decent sized bait. But going back to them being more picky towards the end of the season, you need to downsize that hook. I preach this all the time to people. I don't know if I've ever said it on YouTube, but always go for black hooks for snapper fishing. You can go silver. Silver's the next best option, but black hooks, I'm telling you, that's the way to go. Black hooks in general are my favorite. I use silver every now and then, but all these hook name brands that come out with, oh, the special edition yellow, oh, we only have blue for one summer and then it's gonna be gone. Spoiler alert, a lot of those colors are coming back. They're not special edition. They're not any benefit to anything. Not that I've found, not that anybody that I've talked to has found. It's just a marketing gimmick, just like lures. I'm guilty of it just as much as you are probably. We as fishermen are more apt to stop, look at it and say, wow, that looks pretty cool. Oh, special edition, it's gotta work. Hate to break it to you guys. Yellow hooks, like neon yellow that are special edition, they don't work. Go with black. If you can't find black, go to brown or silver. You know, I've actually never seen a brown circle hook. So anyway, that is the rig, the red snapper killer. Oh, we gotta talk about bait. I forgot about bait. Bait wise, red snapper are pretty much garbage cans. They'll eat squid, crab, cut bait, whether it be bonita, pinfish, grunt, live bait. I mean, you could go with LY, pilchards, hoagie, pinfish, pretty much anything that's, you know, shiny and swims around a lot. What else? Spanish sardines, alive or dead. I think I pretty much covered everything. Shrimp, I didn't cover everything. Shrimp, they like shrimp. And that is going to be the most simple way to rig up for red snapper. Some of the tackle that you need for that rig, the bait that you need, and that's pretty much gonna wrap it up. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. Cannot wait for it. Cannot wait to bring you guys along with me and show you the great, wonderful adventures that we're gonna have in the Gulf of Mexico this summer. And if you are not already subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. I hope y'all stick around for the summer, and I hope every single one of you in there are having a great and fantastic day as always, and I'll be seeing you later.